All right, everybody, welcome back to the Clara CFO group channel. And today is kind of an exciting day. And I've also been a little bit nervous. I've been excited and nervous simultaneously to bring this information to you guys. So it has been a full year since I have been monetized on YouTube. And if you're not sure what that means, when people are putting information up on YouTube, once they have a certain amount of watch time hours and a certain amount of subscribers, they can apply to be monetized. And that means that advertisers can put ads on their videos, and then those advertisers pay Google, and Google shares the revenue with the creator. And then they keep obviously a large portion for themselves. Makes sense, it's their platform. But that's what it means when we say monetize. So you apply for monetization, and once you get it, you can start earning money. So I've seen a number of these videos of people who are doing kind of a 1-year look back on their channels. And, I think it's a really interesting practice to do this. So I kind of I'm hopping on the bandwagon in some ways, but I also feel like I have a little bit of a different perspective than a lot of people because I am a small business CFO. So I want to put on my CFO hat and actually walk through this and kind of explaining why I'm doing this, what metrics matter to me, and really kind of bigger picture, because we can sit here and talk about YouTube analytics all day. We can talk about revenue. We can talk about all these things, and we will. But I also want to think about bigger picture. What's the high level strategy of having a YouTube channel? And when I say that, there's different types of ways that people use YouTube channels. A lot of people have a YouTube channel as a business model in and of itself. So they do YouTube all the time. They're constantly content creating, and all of their revenue is really generated off of both the ads and things associated with their YouTube channel. So it might just be courses that they create. It might be gear that they're selling. It might be affiliate sales. It might be collaborations with brands and stuff that want them to do videos for the brand, so they pay the creator. There's lots of people like that who have their whole business model surrounded by YouTube. Now, I am not that way. I would actually call myself an accidental YouTuber, and I don't really identify as a YouTuber either. I own a CFO agency. So we serve small business clients with virtual CFO services. And when I stepped into starting to do YouTube, it was really all meant as a marketing channel. So I realized that YouTube is a fantastic way to get lots of information out there. And it was a really good way for me to communicate. So I started to put information up on YouTube. And that took me into the steps of starting to explain the CARES Act to people. And it started to open up a very wide door of people who needed this information. And so I started to make videos specifically around that, because ultimately it helped those small businesses be more financially successful. And that's the whole point of this channel. So my channel is not, I'm not a full-time YouTuber. I'm just going to go ahead and say that this is kind of a part-time thing for me, but I can say, as I've been doing this now for a year, it's something I absolutely want to continue. And I want to kind of point to a little something. We're going to get into the money. So I will show you the money. Don't worry. We're going to get there. But I want to kind of say too that this is more than money. The reason that I'm doing this is not because of the money. And we're going to get into that too, because when we use logic to apply to that, it might not make sense for me to do YouTube sometimes. However, this does get into the core values of my business. And if you've never gone through the exercise of identifying core values of your business, I highly recommend it, because it helps you make decisions based on what's important to you and what's important to your business. So one of the things that's really important to me is to make an impact with the work that I do, and then also to educate. And that is the real reason why I'm here on YouTube, because I can make a bigger impact and reach more people, because I have this platform that is free to all who can go and watch my videos. There's a lot of people who will never be able to hire me as their CFO, but my education is now available to everybody. My other core value that's really achieved through YouTube is this education piece. So this allows me to really break down commonly misconceived, notions or things that are confusing for small business owners, I do feel like I have a strength that can make things clearer and simpler to the small business owner. So that is why I'm here, because this platform is the perfect way for me to achieve those core values, and it completely aligns with my strategy and what I want to do with the business. And then it is a marketing channel, so it is a way for people to be aware of my brand. We're going to be really transparent in this video, I should say, because sometimes these are not the things that people actually talk about when they're talking about their YouTube channel. I mean, yes, it makes money. Yes, there's other things there, but like, we want to talk about bigger picture strategy as well. Why are we doing this? Are we being strategic in how we and what steps we take? And because it doesn't make sense for us to necessarily be all places at all times. And if you are a business owner and you're considering YouTube, I want this to be informative to you. Or if you are a YouTuber and you are a full-time YouTuber or maybe want to be a full-time YouTuber, maybe you can take some of these little nuggets of information and help make you a better YouTuber as well. So that's the goal here, is that we're kind of dissecting it. We're being really transparent, and we're going to get into the nitty gritty. Okay, well, right before we get in, if you're not already subscribed to this channel, please go ahead and subscribe. I will talk about the subscribers and some of the analytics and stuff we look at when we hop into the actual YouTube studio here in a second. But I would love to have you subscribe to this channel and click also that little notification bell so that you are aware whenever we have new videos post. It feels a little weird kind of bringing you into the YouTube studio, because it kind of feels like it's been a personal place where I've kind of geeked out over the past year, but I'm actually really excited to share it with you because like I said, YouTube is an incredible platform, and I think there's lots of opportunities. I've even talked to clients about if they've had YouTube channels, how they could potentially leverage them further so that they can make sure that they are, a marketing channel that not only works for you to expand your business, but could also be something that pays you rather than you paying it. Marketing can be one of the biggest line items on the P&L after labor and cost of goods. And so marketing, if you can get that cost of marketing down or have it actually pay you back, that's a really big win. All right, so let's go ahead and hop into the YouTube studio. All right, everybody. Well, here we are in the channel analytics, and I have set the custom date range to be from the date that I believe was the date that I got monetized. It was May 4th, 2020. I was looking for the actual notification of it and I could not find it, but I'm pretty positive based on the data that we're looking at that May 4th was the day that it happened. And so basically 365 days from there. So I want to just kind of give a good, just a good sense of what is the year, what did the year look like? I did actually start my channel earlier, March 27th of 2018. However, it was really sitting stagnant for a really long time. At the beginning of 2020, I actually made a conscious decision to start doing more YouTube videos, but I had kind of taken a little bit of a slow start. I posted a few before the CARES Act really hit. And as we have already discussed, the CARES Act was really what a lot of my videos were focused on for the first year of this channel. So what we're going to look at here is go through and look at just kind of the types of views, and then you'll see the activity level really change throughout the year, and then we'll kind of talk about revenue from there. Just to kind of high level, total number of views was just under 1 million as of that 1 year point. I had a few views before all of this hit, but it really wasn't much. Once I started posting videos about PPP to help people through that process, that's really when my views started to take off. I had one video that was actually sitting out there and had a couple thousand views on it before anything started. So that did kind of give me a little bit of a kickstart on my monetization. So I got monetized also very quickly once I applied. I think it took just a couple days. And I think that was probably because of the trend of the topic that I was on, that I was posting my videos on was very popular. So probably YouTube noticed that and noticed that my videos were doing well and probably wanted to push the monetization quickly, because if I monetize, they are getting paid for ads running on my channel. So I want to just point this out, and you'll see too, these numbers down here talk about like how many videos were posted during the time. For some reason, it's not showing the videos that I did in May through July earlier in the year, but I did post a lot of videos, so we'll go through that too. So we'll talk about audience real quick, because I think this is kind of interesting. You know, I think one thing that's interesting about this is that some people say you have to have a certain number of subscribers in order to make a certain amount of revenue. And so actually you don't make revenue based on subscribers, you make revenue based on views. So even though somebody's not subscribed to your channel, doesn't mean that you couldn't necessarily still be making money from views. About 20% of everybody who watches my videos, or even less than that, maybe about 15%, are actually subscribed. So you know, that gives you an indication too of, you know, you don't just because somebody has subscribers doesn't really indicate how many people are actually viewing the videos. You could also have a lot of subscribers and have lower views. So this is just kind of speaking to, you know, subscriber is a metric, but it's not necessarily everything. And I think that's one thing that we think about when approaching this from a financial perspective, approaching it from a CFO perspective. We want to pay attention to the metrics that really matter. So the metrics that matter, yes, subscribers are a good indicator, but they aren't necessarily the end all be all of what we need to do and what really makes a difference on the channel. So you'll see during the year, I gained about 25,000 subscribers. You know, this is nothing compared to some of the other channels that we're talking about PPP. For example, you might be able to see a couple other channels that were kind of popular during the time. People who watch my channel also watch theirs. You know, some people had much faster growth, and that's okay. These are, you know, it's a metric that, like I said, some people pay attention to more than others. But I think this is kind of interesting. And then you'll see kind of some spikes that, you know, the new viewers coming to the channel is always good, because you want to be attracting new people, and you want to be retaining and having the people who are already subscribed. You want to have them also still watching your videos and stay engaged. You know, if you were seeing a very sharp drop off of returning viewers, that might be an indication that, you know, either your niche has changed, or, you know, you just might not be interesting anymore to the people who originally subscribed to your channel. So I think these are kind of interesting charts, and not everybody talks about that. But I think a lot of what you guys want to look at is really getting into the revenue. So let's go ahead and just reveal it. Here is my revenue from 2021 when it comes to YouTube AdSense. So remember, this is only showing the money that I've earned from YouTube AdSense. So when companies pay to advertise on my channel, you know, those little ads that you have to skip through at the beginning of videos, or maybe you have to watch the whole thing, or maybe they play mid-roll during a longer video. Those companies pay YouTube to place those ads, and then I get a portion of that revenue. So it's about a 45-55 split. And so that's what this CPM is, what companies are paying per 1,000 views, what they're paying YouTube to advertise on my channel, and I'm getting this RPM. This is my revenue per mille. That's revenue per 1,000 views. And so every time I have this is averaged out obviously across multiple different videos, but I'm essentially getting about $22.41 for every 1,000 views, which, you know, this has actually been, I've watched a number of these videos of people showing their revenue for YouTube, and I've actually realized that this is actually a fairly high RPM and CPM. So I am feeling very grateful for that, because although my views are not necessarily as high, I could be making potentially more money than somebody who has on average, you know, multiple times my number of views. So if they are in a lower CPM niche, let's say in gaming or some entertainment, they're getting lower RPM and CPM than I am. So because this is a business channel and it's focused on finances and business, we are getting some pretty high RPMs and CPMs. I actually had one video that had a CPM over 200, And that was kind of mind-boggling to me. So that meant that I got over $100 for each time I reached 1,000 views on that video. That is kind of mind-blowing. So you'll see like I had kind of I had initial traction right when I got monetized. So I posted a bunch of videos. Remember guys, this was like right when PPP was like a really big deal. Everybody was trying to figure out how to use their loans, and a lot of people were going to YouTube to try to figure that out. So I got a lot of views on videos for being a really tiny YouTuber, or at least being a really tiny content creator. We've already talked about whether or not I'm a YouTuber. I was getting, $50, $90 a day, $100 a day. I peaked at about, let's see, $165 a day. This was mind-blowing to me. I remember texting a friend and just being like, this is the craziest thing ever, because it just seemed, it was great, but it was also just like, what? I didn't realize that this is how it all worked. So it was really kind of a fun ride to see it working. And, this is an indicator of just that activity level in the program and what was coming out of that. And then we went through kind of a lull for quite a while. There wasn't as much PPP news going on, and people were just using their money. So, my daily rates were much lower. I mean, I think we got down to just, maybe single digits in some days, or low double digits. Just there wasn't really a whole lot happening. So I would kind of post some videos. I wasn't very consistent throughout the summer too, because there just wasn't as much content to talk about. So I just had less going on overall. Yeah, we got into the single digits for sure. $3 a day, $6 a day. Hey, I am still happy with, I think I saw $1 or something. All of this is money that I would not be getting if I wasn't on YouTube. So this to me seems pretty incredible still. So then we started to spike back up once the program kind of closed and there's like more information coming out. And, I just continued to make videos that I thought would be interesting to you guys based on comments, based on what was happening in the news, based on things that I thought would be valuable, and also to help people through, these, just kind of confusing programs. So kind of getting into the beginning of this year when the program kind of reinvigorated, we got another round of funding, everything started to change. So we were starting to get back into higher views. And then really in March of 2021, I made more of a concerted, consistent effort to say, I'm going to start making sure that I have at least 2 videos per week on my channel. And I was also reading comments pretty religiously and trying to understand what it was that you guys really wanted to know and what my audience really wanted to know. And it was really that was the decisions behind what videos I made. And it turned out that was a very good decision because I just started answering those frequently asked questions, and those videos started to really pick up traction. And it was really interesting to post a couple different videos that were getting traction at the same time. So when that was happening, just the whole channel just raised. I think must have been raised in the algorithm or something. The YouTube algorithm blessed me with its fairy wand, and it just raised up the awareness of my channel altogether. So I actually started, especially towards the beginning of April, I started to gain subscribers at a higher rate. And I also had 2 videos posted at the very beginning of April that really brought up, a lot of activity for the channel. So since then, I've had quite the increase in daily RPM. And so this has been again, just crazy to me to be earning $340 a day, $400 a day, and then all the way up to close to almost $550 in one day from AdSense, which I do not expect this to stay this high for any reason, but I know this was just because I was trying to answer the questions that people were having. And you'll see down here, I had one video in particular that really got a lot of traction. And this was one of the big questions that people were asking. So, when we try to answer, try to provide answers for people when there's really a question there, it is, it turns out with views. So this has been great. So overall, through the summer, my AdSense revenue was very low, but I had this past month was actually close to $8,000 for 1 month. And so it's just been a learning lesson for me, trying to understand, what makes sense to do. And also just understanding that like sometimes, AdSense is something that we can never fully rely on. We don't really know when people and when advertisers are going to choose our channel over a different channel. So as much as it's exciting to see growth in AdSense revenue, it's also something that I know is very unpredictable. So when I was actually budgeting for the year in my own business, I was budgeting about $1,000 a month in AdSense revenue. So thankfully, I can say that I'm going to beat that budget this year, but I was also being very conservative because, my AdSense revenue could completely drop off again if people choose to stop watching my channel. We have no guarantees here, and we also don't know if we'll fall out of favor with the algorithm or if we'll fall out of favor with advertisers. There's really no guarantees on this money, but it is wonderful that it is here. And I super appreciate just YouTube being this platform that we can use to gain this additional, revenue stream in a business. It's pretty amazing. So I want to kind of break down though, because what this doesn't include is it does not include, so this is revenue coming in. This is just straight revenue. This is before any expenses related to the production of these videos. This is before any taxes taken out. So the next thing I want to do is kind of break down the income, expenses, and really what the profit is at the end of the day, and talk about a couple other costs as well. So because I love my Excel, I went ahead and put together a quick little Excel spreadsheet. And I wanted to put together some relevant information here to kind of break down, what I think I've actually spent my time, and also like how much was any of this worth it? Because if we look at this from a CFO perspective, and I put on my CFO hat and I'm looking at this for my own business, I have to say, is all of this work, because this is a ton of work, is all of this work worth it? And is there something better I could be doing with my time? So I want to talk through what I've pulled together here. So I have about 106 videos that I posted since April of 2020. And I wanted to include this, even though I didn't get monetized until early May. I wanted to include everything from April on, because that was really all the stuff that was really helping drive this revenue. Because even the videos I was posting in April, they were starting to get viewed. And then as soon as I got monetized, I was able to go back and monetize those videos as well. So they were the ones that were really driving the traffic into my channel. So I wanted to include those videos here because I think that's an important number to add. And then, it's really hard to say how many hours you spend per video. I read tons and tons and tons of guidance, but it wasn't necessarily in preparation from one video. So I just kind of averaged out like about 2 hours of prep, 1 hour for recording, another hour for editing, and then about 2 hours for answering comments, because I actually answer comments and I monitor comments and I read comments and I look at YouTube every single day. So I'm averaging about 6 hours per video is kind of what I've come up with. And when I really think about it, that ends up being about 636 hours per year, or 53 hours per month. And when I think about it, that seems about right to me. That's just under 2 hours per day, and about an hour to 45 minutes per day. And really, that's probably about right. The fact that I go in every day and I look at YouTube and I do answer things as I can. It's just in little snippets here and there, because this is not my full-time job. I have to, I have to do this when I have the time. So this might mean, while I'm waiting in line somewhere, I might be answering a comment, or I might be, at night, right before I go to bed, I might check my phone and maybe answer a few comments, or first thing when I get up in the morning. This is just kind of that round the clock monitoring of YouTube. And in addition to, so I might even be underestimating the amount of hours really here when we really add all that together, but it's really hard to just pull all those numbers. But this seems about right, because honestly, what this felt like is it felt like kind of a second job. This felt like a part-time job. So it's interesting to see, what did this part-time job pay off? So when we look at income, so this is the income that was posted. And then I went through my P&L and I tried to identify software costs that were additional because of YouTube. I identified equipment that was purchased. I identified some labor that I have. Now, I don't have a fully outsourced like video editing at this point. I'm still doing video editing myself. But I do have a social media assistant now who does help me some, but she just started in March. So, adding some labor costs in here and, some things that I've paid for, some design services and things like that. I altogether have spent about $8,000. So this is profit before tax of $13,025.23. And then I estimate about 25% for taxes. So really after tax, we're talking about under $10,000 here. So if we were to break that into a monthly amount, that's about $814 of profit per month. And then when I break this down into an hourly rate, and this hours are based on the hours that I calculated for the hours up here, then hourly rate of just over $15 per hour. And honestly, this is higher than I thought it was going to be because I was not even thinking I'd be making minimum wage at this job, this kind of part-time extra job that I've been doing. But I'm actually really pleased with that number. And then, the real thing here is that we have to say that this is only a fraction of the total revenue that my business has brought in because of YouTube. And that's what we're going to get into next. And we're also going to talk about some other costs to consider when you're making these types of decisions for your own business. Okay, you guys, well, I told you I would get into the nitty gritty. I'm not trying to hold anything back here. But I do want to also just mention, so we just talked about AdSense revenue in particular, and we broke that down by hours. Now, I want to mention something that's really important. AdSense does not make up all of the revenue that I've taken in because of YouTube this past year. I want to point some things out. So I did tons of one-to-one consulting. I did tons of what I call clarity calls where I was helping people directly with their PPP questions or their EIDL questions or just questions about their businesses in general. I did a couple webinars that I was able to actually monetize those. And then also resell them and package them up afterwards. I was able to consult for a larger company on their PPP product. I was able to gain new clients because of my visibility being on YouTube. And I was also able to participate and become an affiliate of a number of different softwares that I like and use myself. So between all of these things, Google AdSense becomes a much smaller portion of the total package of revenue that we have in the business. So because of that, Google AdWords is a portion of all of the YouTube related income that's coming into the business right now. Now, all of those things come at a cost. Every time we choose to use our time to do one thing, that means we're taking away our time to do another thing. So this is the next cost I want to talk about here. This cost that I want to bring up is called opportunity cost. And this is something that I don't see a lot of YouTubers talking about when they're breaking down their revenue. And so an opportunity cost, I'm going to literally read the definition to you right here. The loss of potential gain from other alternatives when one alternative is chosen. So that means when you make the decision to do something, that means you have chosen to not do something else. And you have to be okay with the fact that the path that you've chosen is where you are, and that other path could have potentially made you more money, or, it could have, meant something different for you. So when I think about doing YouTube, I have to, from a CFO perspective, think, is there better use of my time? And that's essentially what opportunity cost is, because I could be losing out on something else. And if I were to be looking at YouTube in just completely siloed, if I was only looking at AdSense, if I wasn't keeping in perspective my core values, I might not make the decision that YouTube makes sense. However, we think about the opportunity of also potential growth down the road, which could have a higher potential growth trajectory. We also think about that satisfaction of the core values of the company. And we're also thinking about what would we be doing alternatively? So if I took the same amount of time that I spent on YouTube and I went and I was trying to get more CFO clients for the agency, I could absolutely get about 5 clients based on the hours that we were looking at. That's about 5 clients per month, or maybe 5 or 6. So I look at that amount of money and I would say, okay, does this make sense? Would it make more sense for me to go and get more clients, or would it make more sense for me to dive more deeply into YouTube? Now, when I actually looked at those numbers, they were pretty much apples to apples for the 1-year comparison of 2020, or at least for this past year. However, I see a potential higher growth trajectory from YouTube than I can with my clients, because if I have a capacity issue at a certain point, and that's, I have to start hiring other people. And so as I continue to hire more people to serve more clients, I also have a higher costs associated with those things. And then I also have lower profits. So, when you have to think about all things together, but you also think about, it always makes sense to go through the steps and the motion to say, if I were not doing YouTube, what else would I be doing? If I were not doing YouTube, how else could I be making this money? There's people who spend years and years and years getting their YouTube channels off the ground. And then, they're really happy when they make a little bit of money from it, but could they have been working for those same years and potentially developing out a career or finding some other passion or whatever it might be? Now, I don't ever want to squash anyone's dreams here, but you do need to look at it. If you're going to put on your CFO hat, you need to say, is this worthwhile? Especially for all my small businesses who are still listening and watching, and they're trying to decide if it makes sense to invest in a YouTube channel or invest in creating this content over a long period of time. You do need to think about it's time, energy, and effort and money put into creating YouTube content. So does that have the potential to be worthwhile for you when considering your alternatives? Okay. So that is opportunity cost at its finest. And that's absolutely something we should always be considering with any alternatives that we're looking at. Okay. So when I look at opportunity cost in this situation, I am choosing to continue down the path of YouTube because I think it allows the core values of my business to be expressed, while also from a revenue perspective, still helping to move the business forward, and from a profit perspective, because we care more about profit than we care about revenue. So as we continue walking down that path, it will be a continual conversation. But from this perspective and from right now, as my own CFO, I am going to continue on the YouTube path. Okay. So I hope all that has been helpful to you. I really want to encourage people, if you're exploring YouTube, definitely think about all these different things. It's really exciting. I actually love the platform. It's been really fun. I've been able to meet other YouTubers. I've been able to engage with a lot more people. And honestly, it's been fun. It's had its moments where it's a little bit hard. And, sometimes you get people who, leave hateful comments or whatever. And that's part of being out there and putting yourself out there into the world. So, but for the most part, it's mostly positive all the way around. So I do want to just encourage you, if you're thinking about it, to continue thinking about it and jump in if you feel like it's the right thing for you. But put any questions or comments in the comment section below. I will absolutely read them and I will respond to as many as I possibly can within the first 24 hours of this video. And then after that, it's just as I can. All right. Well, thank you so much, you guys. And just thank you for 1 year on this platform. And it's been an honor to serve you in this way.